Supergirl might be one of the most misunderstood characters in modern superhero movies, especially in the new DCU.
She's such an unexpected hero.
Before the movie had even released, there was a sea of angry people who took the internet by storm, ranting about the absolute disaster it was going to be, how they hated the casting, the concept, and most of all, this version of the character.
It's almost as if they were gonna hate it no matter what the movie was like.
She's too trashy, too rude, too messy, too angry, too masculine. Nothing like a hero should be, not someone to look up to. And now that I've seen the movie, it's almost funny how these people proved the movie's point.
The movie wanted people to nitpick everything about her?
Well, no. But I think the movie expects us to judge her, to think she's not good enough. The thesis this movie really drives home, from start to finish, is what makes a person good. Kara's mother, on her literal deathbed, tells Kara always be good. That she can still be tough. She doesn't have to always be nice, but to always be good. And I think that's one of the best ways the movie could have stated this. Making it clear up front what good isn't. Good isn't polite. Good isn't nice. Those are both fine things to be, but they're not the same.
Then what is it?
Good is proactive kindness. And Kara thinks she's never going to live up to the idea of being good. She's already given up on herself. She compares herself to Clark. She says, on the inside he's light, young, uncorrupted. He sees the good in everyone. Even her, probably. But she thinks only she sees the truth. But she clearly is a very protective person of the people she does see good in. Like Ruthie, the 13-year-old girl, on a revenge mission. One that Kara insists she'd regret for the rest of her life, if she goes through with it. Trying to protect her innocence, even when it's not what Ruthie wanted to hear. Kara can be rude, messy, an imperfect hero, but still a hero.
I have very different ideas about what it means to be a hero.
Not because of her superpowers, but because she protects the people who can't protect themselves. She chased after the guy who tried to steal Ruthie's sword.
Twice.
True. Once when she was clearly very drunk, and another time when she was on a ship being held at gunpoint by pirates. She tells Ruthie all the time, don't freak out. At first, Ruthie hated when she would tell her that. Like, excuse you, my parents just died, and I can freak out if I want to. But that isn't what she meant at all. Kara tells her that to mean, I've got you. I'm here for you. Everything will be okay. Ruthie learns that when she says it back to Kara later in the movie, when things seemed absolutely hopeless. Don't freak out. The same kind of love and protection she's been getting from her the whole movie. That's what I mean by proactive kindness. Kara isn't affectionate. She's protective. She's proactive.
Oh, now I get it.
Kara doesn't show love in maybe the most traditional way.
No kidding. Don't freak out doesn't exactly scream warm, fuzzy feelings.
Or protect people in the most obvious way.
We can sit down over there.
But she does do everything in her power to do both. She loves Ruthie, even if she finds her annoying or inconvenient for parts of the movie, and doesn't show it with clear emotional affection. She shows it with words that don't mean what they seem to mean. Or telling her, stay put, even when it's the last thing Ruthie wanted to hear, when it was for her safety. Or most of all, telling her to not kill for revenge, because it'll haunt her for the rest of her life. Most of all, I think Kara's trying to tell her, don't be like me. For most of the movie, don't be like me. Don't end up a heavy, numb mess. Keep your innocence. Keep being young and light, like how she sees Superman. She isn't trying to stop Ruthie because revenge is morally wrong in general. She's trying to stop her because she recognizes the path that would lead her down. Kara already believes she's become someone she doesn't want Ruthie to become. She doesn't want her to take on that kind of burden. Ruthie, in a lot of ways, is a stand-in for us as the audience, learning to understand Kara. At first, it's pretty clear Ruthie meets her and is somewhat impressed and grateful that she's trying to help her mission, but then sort of loses faith in her. She's clearly a mess, and she sees her as broken. She wouldn't want to be anything like her, because power is great and all, but she didn't like her attitude. Superman is bright and shiny and wears a colorful suit and a smile on his face. He's what people think of when they try to picture a superhero. If he showed up, they'd feel safe. And if Supergirl showed up, I think a lot of people would feel disappointed, worried.
Yeah, worried feels about right. Worried she's about to puke mid-fight. Not something I've ever worried about with Superman.
especially based on how she comes across at the start of the movie. Drunk, sleeping in, emotionally checked out, generally avoiding life and living from moment to moment, with lower expectations of herself than we ever possibly could have of her. She's incredibly capable and sharp, but she's also carrying an incredible weight on her shoulders. Legacy.
Legacy?
Legacy is kind of a loaded word. For Kara, the legacy has multiple layers. Legacy of her family, legacy of Krypton, and finally, legacy of Superman himself.
Oh, yeah, but no pressure or anything.
Supergirl as her title means she's forever going to be compared to her cousin Clark. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's a pretty high pedestal to be standing in the shadows of, no matter how much grace he himself gives her. She also carries the weight of legacy of her parents. Kara wanted to stay with her parents when everyone from the last city of Krypton was dying. They made it clear to her they want her to live on. Her life isn't just her life, but the continuation of their lives. Them and all of Krypton. That's a lot to carry around. She's dealing with not only being the sole survivor of her planet, who actually remembers it, but her entire family. And now, other than Krypto, she's completely alone in the world. Clark talks to her in the movie about finding her people. And Kara's pretty sure she has no people, that she'll never have her own people. For all intents and purposes, Kara counted herself as dead, trying to stay numb to it all, until Ruthie and Krypto both needed her. So why are so many people reacting so strongly to this version of Supergirl? Why does it feel so wrong to them? Over the decades, we've seen a lot of different versions of Supergirl. Some that work better than others. Other than this movie, the most recent version shows up in My Adventures with Superman in Season 2. Past that, you get into things like the CW Supergirl show, which is pretty well known. She was also in the show DC Superhero Girls. Sometimes she's optimistic, sometimes she's rebellious, sometimes she's cheerful, and sometimes she's reckless.
I don't get it. Sounds like there's already a lot of differences out there. Not like one version was more right than the others.
It's a huge reflection of what audience they're aiming for. The CW Supergirl did things one way, while DC Superhero Girls did things another. And that makes sense. But one thing that's always true is in any version of Kara is the thing that separates her from Clark. She remembers Krypton. Clark has the luxury of growing up with a loving family he never had to lose. He lost a planet he never really knew. He was a baby when he left Krypton, and it never really felt like home to him. For him, it was mostly a loss of heritage. But to Kara, it was everything. It was her entire family, and the only home she ever knew. It's a loss she deals with every day. A lot of people online right now love to point out the movie bombed in theaters.
Yep, it's their favorite thing. Brings a smile to their face. It's weird. Don't these people like superhero movies?
There's no denying this movie has been divisive. Some people are angry about the tone of the movie, while others have genuine critiques on the structure. And it all kind of got mixed together into one confusing ball of frustration online. So let me put this out there in a little bit of a love sandwich for the movie. I love this characterization of Supergirl. Genuinely, it's the first time I've taken a real interest in this character. Other than just sort of knowing she's a character that exists in the universe. But this movie, much like Kara herself, is messy. I love the themes, and the actors they chose, but some of the threads just don't line up. These critiques are totally valid. The movie can have a genuinely great version of the character, but still be kind of mid as a standalone story. Characters are underutilized. Pacing is a little weird, making it feel longer than it is. And the message of don't kill for revenge, then doing the kill herself can be a little confusing. Like we're not sure what the movie's trying to say about it morally. And those are all valid things to raise an eyebrow at. But overall, and this is the other bread on this little sandwich of love and critique, I still had a lot of fun watching this imperfect, messy romp. And I would watch it again. It's not perfect, but it is, back to my whole thing about the theme somehow, good.
And back to theme again. I still don't know how you do that.
Natural talent?
Or several script revisions.
Fair point. Superman from last year had its own level of controversy.
Hey, loser. You're a loser.
But it was overall getting a lot of love. This movie is both falling by the wayside and garnering more controversy than ever. The truth is, Supergirl, even in real life, stands in a large shadow of her cousin Superman. He is much more well-known and loved by pretty much everyone, even the most casual superhero fans. And those who do like Supergirl are split in a significant way. Those who like a specific image of her see her as a beacon of optimism, youthful exuberance, and indomitable hope. And this movie's depiction of her doesn't really seem to match that, or at least not in a traditional way. So those fans likely sat this one out.
I'm not upset.
This isn't the Supergirl they know and love. But to me, this version of Kara is as accurate to the character as ever. She's headstrong, impulsive, proactive, while dealing with the alien immigration struggles in a more direct way than Clark does. And this movie takes on all that and leans into the more personal angle of her struggle with survivor's guilt. It keeps the essence of Supergirl with a grittier, realistic view of her mental state. One that makes complete sense for someone in her situation and her personality. And even with all of that, she manages to go through all the grit and turmoil while being fun, tough, and overall just awesome to watch. She shows off her attitude and her swagger right alongside her absolute ire for having to deal with any of this in the first place. It's all the charm of a Cowboy Bebop episode in a character that is not only realistic, but also doesn't look like your traditional lead in a movie like this. Because yeah, the elephant in the room, why many people also didn't go see this movie, and brace yourself because I'm going to say something apparently quite shocking, Supergirl is...
You know, we haven't been formally introduced.
A girl.
I know. Gasp and guffaw. Grasp your pearls. This movie about Supergirl has a girl lead.
See? Super? Girl.
This female lead is tough and messy, unconcerned with being seen as nice, polite, put together, or tiptoeing around anyone else's ego. She gets up in your face and does what needs to be done, even when that means getting down and dirty with fight scenes, while being nauseous, I might add, and dealing with things in an unladylike way. To a lot of people, this is every reason to be utterly disgusted with the movie simply from the trailer. But I'll be very direct here and say, I don't get that. And I don't want to get that. Have your own opinions, you're entitled to that. But I loved this version of Supergirl, felt this way. She's not meant to be squeaky clean, female version of Superman with an emphasis on the girl part as if that somehow dictates her personality. Because, first and foremost, girl isn't a personality. However, it does lead to a set of expectations. People hear that word, and unconsciously, or consciously in the case of angry people that review bomb this movie, now expect things like pleasant, polite, put together, sweet, neat, emotionally mature, and compliant. She was never meant to be Superman, but less powerful, with a body the fans are designed to leer at, coupled with long blonde hair. She's not meant to be a Barbie doll.
Yeah, if you want that movie, that was a couple summers ago. Go watch that one.
Instead, this movie said no to all of that, and gave us a girl who was grieving, reckless, sarcastic, and emotionally exhausted. Girl isn't a personality, but those traits are. I think that's what made so many people uncomfortable with this version of Kara. They expected polite, pleasant, and nice.
Sugar, spice, and everything nice. These are the ingredients of a perfect little girl.
The movie is making a point by rejecting that expectation, to show us that someone doesn't need to be nice to be good. Kara is meant to contrast from Clark because they may be from the same place, with the same powers, but their experiences make them very different. Ultimately, they are both good. In fact, that's what Supergirl is struggling with the entire movie. She doesn't see herself as good. She thinks she's living down the expectations of her parents this whole time, not worthy of Superman trying to bring her into his hospitality, because she thinks of herself as trash. Good isn't being polite or nice. Good is proactive kindness. Kara already is good. She didn't need to change. She just needed to believe that and get out of her own way. The movie spends 2 hours convincing Ruthie that Kara is good. It spends 2 hours convincing the audience that Kara is good. And ultimately, it spends 2 hours convincing Kara that she's good too. That is exactly what the movie is trying to say. The thesis statement of the whole thing. What makes someone good? Kara's tough, rude, sarcastic, and sleeps all morning. But she protects those who need her and will fight to her last breath to do what she knows is right. She may not do things the way you'd always expect, and not every plan goes off without a hitch. But she's still one of the good guys. And now she knows it too.
And I see the truth.
And now, you spent a whole video trying to convince us she's good too. Meanwhile, I've already got the comic the movie was based off of in my Barnes & Noble shopping cart. But, go off, I guess.
Anyway, that's all I've got on the new Supergirl. I'd love to know your thoughts. What did you think of this version of Kara? Leave your thoughts down in the comments, or go check out my Superman video from last year. If this one is about the nature of good, that one was about hope and kindness being punk.
Yeah, hope core is kind of her thing. I try to edit out anything too cheesy, but it's never easy. So, you should subscribe to the channel, 'cause I do a very good job.
Anyway, I'll see you real soon in the next one.
Bye, guys.